So I noticed a problem with starting a new character in the starting zone at Argos Extractors, and that would be that due to the placement of the last second ship, the Frontier didn't want to drop out of the sky and land on the landing pad, so it was kind of a no-go from there because the storyline has got a series of steps that you've got to take to get off the planet and fly the frontier and do the space battle and take the training that the robot gives you on your way to the Crete facility. And if you don't do those steps, you can't get in another ship or anything else. You can't get off the planet. And so I would get spawn into the game, and my second ship would be sitting on the landing pad underneath the Frontier, and that would keep it from landing, and it would break the process. So I had never noticed that previously because I hadn't been doing new games. I had just been going through the Unity and grabbing another ship and leaving. But in order to test some other elements, I started two new characters, one after the other, and that had happened. The first time I checked it out, it wasn't immediately obvious because I had just done a reset um, on the creation so that where you unplug them and plug them back in, and when you do that, if you don't NG right after you do that, your ships don't show up. So it wasn't obvious, and I had a different solution. Um, and I was only testing so far anyway, so I didn't actually notice anything at that time. And then this last time I went to go do it, I noticed, oh yeah, no, this is a thing. It's not the probably the proximity of the landing pad, the second landing pad placed, made the ship that was on it want to sit on the landing pad underneath the Frontier for some reason rather than on its own pad until that everything got initialized and they'd go up in the air and they'd come back down and land on its own pad. Sometimes one of the ships would park off in the distance or something. I'm not exactly sure what all the elements involved with that are. Don't have insight to all those mechanics in the game, the routines that run and so forth. But so um, I decided I'd go ahead and fix that. So I removed the landing pad from where it was, and you got to be kind of careful with that. You see when you go in there and you turn all the mesh on, there's all kinds of stuff cluttering the environment. It's real hard to see, and it's real hard to click on elements because there's so many elements that's just spread out that are area of effect type elements and such. So anyway, so I dropped under the pad, which took a little bit of effort, and got it positioned where it looked spaced out properly, and I felt like it was going to have a better chance of not interfering. And I've tested that, and in fact, it seems to work just fine. So I went ahead and took the ship that I had as the second ship, and I replaced it with a Class A ship there, which doesn't necessarily make sense because you have to do the frontier getting off the planet. I was thinking at the time that I would grab not grab the frontier, but the frontier would automatically go into my inventory, and I'd grab this other Class A ship because it was built better and would make everything easier, better features, more cargo space, better guns, all that kind of stuff on it. But the way that the missions go in the starter quest line, it does not allow you to do that. You've got to get in the frontier and you've got to take off into space and then land over on Crete. And after you do that stuff and finish up the first step quest, then you can start grabbing other ships and so forth. So but I still like the having the Class A ship there, so I left it there. And the ship that I had put there, I moved over to Cairo. Uh, Previously, under the Watchtower um, download, I was putting ships every place so that I'd had plenty of ships for my fleet, and they were causing problems, and I pulled all of those up, but I left the facility there at Cairo, and so I went ahead and took that silent running ship that I had at Argos Extractor and replaced it with the Class A ship, and I've dropped it over on the pad in Cairo, which is tricky because that place, trying to put stuff there, it doesn't want to have any kind of map marker or anything like that. You're supposed to discover that place through a book that you find, which I have in a box that is over at my Archimedes place. So it's just a matter of going to Archimedes and going down to the box where I have all that stuff stored and grabbing the Cairo snow globe quest and then heading over there. So I got all that stuff placed, and the next thing we used to do is to log in and check it all out and see if it's all working. So here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to the Archimedes site and fish that snow globe quest out of the box, the container down parked by the tree, and then we'll head over, take a look, see.
This'll only take a minute.
Spammers and scammers, you can't get away from them. I haven't actually...
Hey, over here. Could you please spare a ship part? Our rookie here may have sideswiped an asteroid. Needs some repairs.
I haven't actually done an NG since I placed this, or unplug and replug my creations.
Sure could use your help. We're dead in the water here.
But I'm going to go and check just before I do all that, just go run through and see, make sure everything's looks like it's still intact and don't see any signs of anything broken. Still see those ships, so that's a good sign that everything's still pretty stable. just need to get a refresh on the 2 places that I edited, which the refresh shouldn't really be a big problem, because I didn't go to Argos Extractor when I NG'd this time. I went directly to the Almagais, the space station in the Olympus system, to go shake down some spacers for the secret outpost Mantis Layer mission, and go directly there to grab that ship and convert it to my ride. And that's what I'm running right now. So I got the book. Now we're gonna have to go to Cairo and just check in on it. Okay, back here at Argos Extractor. The ship's not here, but it wouldn't be. It's not going to be visible until ING. I'm checking to see if there's any clutter that was left behind. Sometimes when you remove an object that you had there, like those landing pads, I have some stuff on the landing pad, like the container and the lamp and the chair, and sometimes I might miss something and it'll be sitting there floating in space, so you always want to come back and take a look and see if you've got any floating trash, clean all that up. Looks like I got everything. I've gotten better at it over time. The pad's there though, so that's working. The site's not all broken. Map marker's working. But the ship's not going to be visible, like I say, until ING. And because I've made a change and I've actually moved the pad from one location to another, I've got to remove my creation, log in, and then log back out and put my creation back in so that it does a flush and reloads all of the updated content and the load order and all that to make sure that the updates that I've made are refreshed as they get loaded. It's just a good course of action, good way to make sure that everything comes out clean and you don't have anything that didn't get refreshed in the update. special ship vendor is working. So it's all plugged in. You just need to refresh so that the ship becomes visible. And I'm going to have to test that with a new character to make sure that it's not only visible, but when I start a new character, that it's not going to block the landing of the frontier. That was the whole purpose, is to make sure that the starter mission would run without being broken. Okay, let's go to Cairo. Okay, no shit, but nothing's broken either. basically some of these are all grouped together. All of the parts are grouped together, and some of them I have to ungroup for various reasons to go in and do edits. And so whenever I go in here and I touch something, I can always drag something out of alignment without realizing it, and coming in and inspecting a place like this after I've done an edit is just something that I've come to realize that you want to go and take a look at it, go walk through where you're up close looking at it, so that you can make sure that you didn't screw anything up, drag anything out of alignment, everything's still in place. And it looks like everything's going to be fine. So now then the thing to do is to go through the Unity and log off, and then disengage all of my mods, turn off all my creations, log back in, and then log out again so that they flush. And the order of operation on that basically is that you want to make sure that everything reloads. But once you reload everything, you want to go through the Unity, because the Unity flushes everything in your history, so that it just drops all the baggage and history of everything, and so that you can kind of go through it and do a refresh and find everything new and rediscover everything. So if you drop the creations, you log out, drop the creations, log in, log back out, reload the creations, log in, jump through the Unity, that flushes everything so that everything ought to be in order and everything ought to be freshly reloaded, and then everything should work at that point. That's voodoo steps. Basically, I'm watching the video and commenting. So I think what I'm doing now is I'm going to go back over to Argos Extractors. I'm going to go back over to Argos Extractors because I didn't check to see if the modded inflictor rifle that I created is everything's sitting there and it's all working and it's functional. Basically that's there so that when I do a new character, they can walk over there and they're a level 1, they don't have access to anything, they can't go in and do any weaponsmithing or anything like that, but they can walk over there and pick up an inflictor rifle that's already got all of the workbench stuff done to it, and you just drop it on the ground and add the legendary stats to it that you want, and bump up the damage stat on it. Yeah, it's there. To Crete now and do one last check on another location just to make sure that it looks normal. Archimedes look normal. It's just kind of checking more than one place to make sure everything looks normal. If there's nothing I need to fix before I go through all the flush steps. Is taking off on cue, so the site is functioning properly, and the ship that I dropped there is on the pad, and everything looks fine. Okay. So now it's time to flush and run. Try it again and make sure everything is working. So we're testing low-level character starting from scratch. See what it looks like, see if we can get through here in the frontier spawn. And to get on through this to the point where the missions are actually happening that we need to check, I've got it running 10 times the speed. It's a flashback. Okay, so he gets his gear and the frontier does land. He mods his 80 gigawatt plasma rifle. Up to Barrett. I think that's step 200. And the pirates land, and oops. Talk to Barrett again. Save with pirates landing. Okay, yeah. Cleared it this time. Talks to Barrett. Gets his watch. Okay, so now I'm going to see if I can actually grab one of these ships and leave in the Class A ship instead of the Frontier. I can't get up the ladder. It doesn't want to let me climb it. So I go collect some goodies from containers. Get my backpack because I don't have a boost pack yet. Get him some gear that looks nicer. Yeah, so it won't let me set it to my home ship. So I was going to try to just get into the inventory and that wasn't happening. So, and I went out into space, and then I could not travel any place because you can't travel anywhere or do anything until you have to finish that frontier mission where you leave the planet in the frontier, go through the training steps of fly, check your direction motion keys, your change target keys, and your boost, and these instructions from the robot. And if you don't do that, you're not going anywhere. So it forces you to leave the planet and the frontier to finish up those steps. So I conjure a couple of weapons here. At the Crete, we're going to be going to the Crete facility, and it's just so much greater quality of life to have a good ranged weapon that hits hard and just take everything out at range. Okay, so doing my training missions and doing my encounters. This is a necessary step, so you can't skip these steps. The game won't let you. So this is part of the learning to play the game at the very beginning when you're a brand new character. You have to do these steps. Yeah, I'm on Crete. My other ship is over there. I forgot that I've got too much luggage and I need to get rid of it. I'm gonna go ahead and mod up my armor, my other set of armor, and get out of this. Actually, I like that War Dog armor a lot. I like the artwork on that. It's pretty nice, but I've got to mod my armor and have a set of armor on. I think on this environment I've got to be wearing armor. I'm not sure this, but I'm getting ready to have some encounters, so I want to have some armor with benefits. Alright. Dump my overload that I was carrying. I wanted to get that sculpture, but I don't have the carrying capacity. I've got to be careful right now, so I didn't pick it up. Yeah. My 80 gigawatt plasma rifle, or pistol here. Working like a champ. I love having the scope on this pistol. It makes it so much better. It makes it usable. So this ship likes to migrate too. I put it on that pad over on the backside behind the warehouses, but quite often I'll just see it's sitting there in the middle on the landing pad, which is convenient. You have to look around to see where to migrate to. Okay, so now I'm going to get on my level 248 character that's sitting in his Guardian, having just NG'd. and all of the creations were unplugged and replugged before I created that level 1 character. So he went through that after all the creations had been turned off and back on again. And now my upper level character is going through having NG'd after everything being turned off and back on again. So the ships are on the pads and they're doing their normal initialization. I don't know why they do this. I don't have access to that part of the game engine, but it's typical to see that. I'm not doing the normal grab everything here because I'm just running a test, and that's all I'm intending to do is just jump in and go through and check the sites to see if the sites that I touched are all in order, if there's any problems.
Still in one piece. Oh God, I'm gonna throw up. Get that on back to Constellation.
Staying around isn't helping us out any.
Miners with PTSD from the pirates. Somebody ought to go after those pirates. Each ship has picked its own pad, so that ship being on the pad where the Frontier is would not normally drop isn't really an issue here because that Frontier mission is not in play, and it wasn't on the pad for the level 1 character coming out of the mines. It's 3 ships in play. I've got the Starborn ship, I've got the Preference, and then I've got the Class A ship, and they're on their individual pads, but they're on the pads where they should be. Sometimes they would take off and then land someplace out in the landscape, but the proximity of those pads, I think it's a good sign that where they are, that there's not any conflict of which pad is open. They have to go out to the landscape. And there won't be the Starborn ship when you're level 1, so I think those back 2 pads will be where the extra ships are going to be, where they should be. Help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, bounty hunters. I ain't got time for you right now. Yeah, everything looks good here. Okay, go and get the book to go to Cairo. I've got all of the snow globes books in a well, there's a couple of snow globes that you get in other places, but the basic ones, I think there's like 18, 19 of them. You get a book, and there's a whole line of where you go, but I just pulled them out of the creation kit resources and stuck them in a container. And the whole reason for that was during the watchtower, we needed a fleet. And so I needed places to park ships, and to park a ship you need persistent locations. And all of the snow globe locations are places where I had ships parked. But that was a strain. It was causing some problems, and eventually I wound up just removing those, and it wasn't necessary. I played Watchtower, and I didn't really want a fleet of companions following me every place. I couldn't go capture a ship because they would kill it. That was my main fun, was going and capturing ships in space, and all my companions would swarm them. And I like to, I mean, I'm an introvert anyway, and I like that gameplay and the benefits from being by yourself. Okay, so here's the ship that I put in Cairo's out here in space, which is not uncommon to find these ships. Plus, when I put the pad down and reactivated a ship spot in Cairo, I did not put a map marker down, and I put minimal support down to have a ship in that place. It's game breaking to have a map marker on a place that it doesn't want you really to discover it from being out in space like regular POIs. It wants you to discover that through the snow globe, and it's a kind of a touch and go thing, because once you've been there once, that they kind of go away, and trying to make them where they're persistent after you've gone and collected the snow globe, sometimes that just is too much for the game, and you can't deal with it. So it's like go there once and that's it. And there it's landing. But it always puts you at a distance. I think there's something about these sites that you have to be not very close to the sites, because the sites are fragile. And the game naturally puts you at a distance from this one and some of the others. So it's doing a touch and go. I didn't stop and get my land vehicle yet. So I'm just going to check this stuff out. Do a quick run in. Even that one is not going back to the landing pad. It's setting down at a distance. There's something about some sites that they do that. I don't know what's involved with all the game mechanics, why stuff will happen like that, but that's not uncommon. Yeah, put this little oasis in underneath the, there was a bunch of ships up there. I think I had about 5 or 6 ships on that big square platform, and then another one over on that round one, and there's like 7 ships or so that I had here. There was a lot of mesh. It got to where you couldn't approach the place without it crashing if you'd been there. I learned later, though, that you greatly reduce the strain on a location that just lags and crashes like that by removing the ship vendor. I think part of that issue is that there's so much mesh recorded in the vendor with all of the extra ships that I've got in there for sale, and I'd also pushed up the storage limit for how many random ships it could actually have for sale, something like 100, and it was just too much information, and it would break after you'd visited it once and try to go back. But by scaling all that back, everything stabilized. I wound up taking the vendor away from my Hugin site, and it's real smooth landing there now because of it. So I think that there's just a lot of information in that special ship vendor. This was a later version of the landing pad hab, where I've got that sliding door that goes in there. I got tired of the porting, and the hatches are problematic. I've got the animation turned off on the hatches, and that affects some other mods that get put out, like it affected the Armada mod, where you have to drop through the roof on the first quest. When you go to the station, you drop through the roof so that you can go back and access your switch box, part of the game routine, and I wind up having to clip through the floor because the hatch won't actuate, and I think it's probably related to the hatches on my mods that I've turned the hatch animation off, because the hatch on that I use is not actually over a hole. There's a ladder piece and there's the hatch piece, but the action is a teleport. And so, since there's actually no hole there, it looked kind of weird for it to open up and there not be any hole there. So I turned the animation off, and then later down the line, the Armada mod comes out, and it doesn't, with the hatch not opening, it affects that. There's also is a POI that if you get up on the roof, there's got a hatch, and the hatch is normally open, but it's not open anymore, and it'll say that it's opening and closing, but the animation's not happening. So I'm pretty sure it's all tied to that animation change, where I turned that animation off on the base part that I use. Normally those parts are all part of an instanced item and tied to a location, so the mod only affects that location. But in this case, apparently I'm using a base piece that is also used again in a couple of places in some other mods that some other creations that come out that need that animation. So whenever I run into that, I just go into clip mode and turn collision off and walk through the wall and then turn it back on. I'm not going back in and changing that mod. I did wind up later not even using hatches anymore, just simply using teleports, because the elevator mechanics and trying to get the information now to make an elevator actually move things up and down, I wasn't getting that information, and it was just it's a nice animation, but there's magic in this game, and these guys teleport. Well, so it looks like everything's working. Onward through the fog.